Amen. Amen. Good morning. Where do you start? Some of you out there have sat up here. Some of you have been in those slides. Some things don't change. We commit to do something for the Lord, and He comes back and He blesses our socks off. Some things don't change. Other things do. There's always new faces, new village to visit. God shows up with His Holy Spirit, and He changes lives, but they're new lives and new people in every year. Folks are added to the kingdom. It's a great job we have to do. And I encourage every one of you to engage in some ministry somewhere, to one another, to someone down the street. We got this event with the girls coming up in a few weeks. I can fake it. I don't know if I can bake it, but engage and see what the Lord will do in your life. He does things like that. Well, this year we have a bunch of folks that went and passed. We had one newcomer. You're going to hear from him today. But I'll let everyone introduce themselves.
I am Aquia Kathy.
Norm Lemming.
I do know my name. I'm a Ruthie.
I'm Quincy Tom.
Abin Lynette.
Aquia Shu.
Quojo Kevin.
Aquia Renee.
Abana Peggy Joe.
And in Ghana, I'm Kofi Glenn. You see, in Africa, and not just Ghana, but most countries, they have a soul name, which is based upon the day of the week you were born. For Norm, we just got to use a perpetual calendar and figure out what day of the week he was born, so we know who he is besides Norm. And then few can actually say Sue in Ghana. It becomes Shu. So this is Mum Shu. Priceless. Anyway, golly, I think Ruthie ought to go first. What do you think? As she's scrolling through her notes. Yeah. But this year was another incredible trip. One of the things I wanted to point out about the slides up there, you know, we talk about building pavilions, and this congregation has funded 2 pavilions for many years now. We raised the money for one, and maybe you should know this, but one family from this congregation actually funds the second one. That is their gift to this mission. Not that any one gift is greater to another, if you understand about the widow's mite, but what a blessing. We're going to do church planting in 2 villages. Shouldn't we have 2 pavilions to build? And that has been such a blessing year after year. Interesting thing that Sue was able to point out last service was that things changed around a bit this year because of various circumstances. In missions, there's always things that jump up in the middle that you weren't planning on. And we actually worked in 3 villages rather than 2 this year because we needed to build the pavilion in a different church than the village we were planting. And what a blessing that was to that church who had been meeting for some time. And it was still a small church, but we were able to build them a pavilion. And now they were just overjoyed, and it was amazing the response that we had received from them. And again, I think it was in the first service, Renee was pointing out that they said, look, we have nothing. We have nothing to give you. So they gave each of us a little bit of cloth, like what our clothes are made out of, because they have nothing. that pavilion that you built with your dollars and your prayers and a few sweating people changed their stars for that church. They have a place to sit in the sun, where they have shade and in the rainy season. It changes everything. And they had nothing to give but the widow's mite. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the blessings that you're causing to happen to your brothers and sisters in Africa. And it is amazing. On the other hand, did you see the last pavilion that we showed? It was a pavilion 9 months ago. Did you see that church? That was incredible. That was a church that raised their own money to finish what we started. That's the partnership. We put in a well, and either it has a wellhead or a pump, and they come back and they put these 10,000-liter water tanks, and sometimes on stilts so they can use them as gravity fed on the times when there isn't electricity. It isn't that we're doing everything for them, but we are starting something that they can grab a hold of, get behind, and just, it explodes. And they give God the glory for that. Not Dayton. They give God the glory for that.
Good morning, everybody. So we have a little joke in this team. I get pressured to speak a lot, and I don't like to speak. Those of you who don't know me, I'm a nurse. I'm a school nurse, so kids, medical clinic, those are right up my alley. God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. I'm grateful for that. We've talked a lot about the details, that God was in the details. One thing that we didn't talk about this morning in any of the service was right out of the gate, we booked our plane tickets, and Glenn usually does some of the research on that. We went a different way this year. We all kind of just went with maybe it was because it was more affordable, I don't know. But come to find out, the day that we left, do you guys remember it was snowing that week? New York was shut down, and that's the way we normally go to Africa. So God was right there. He already knew that we needed to take a different route to Ghana. So this is my 5th trip in 4 years. I try to do a little bit more each year. Right, Kevin? That's right. Kevin's my pal. He kind of pushes me into uncomfortable. This year we had a lot of change. We're doing some transition. Of course, Kathy, Lynette, myself, and Val, another friend of ours who joins the mission, are those medical types that Glenn talks about. And most often we get kind of stuck there. And if you know how things work in Ghana, it's a free clinic. And sometimes we go to places where resources aren't readily available. So when free is announced, there are long lines. And the Gongwers, Cam and Kurt, and ourselves feel like we need to take care of everyone, which is sometimes, always, it's hard because you don't want to turn anyone away. But this year we made a little bit of change. We added some Ghanaian nurses as prescribers to help us triage and to take care of just the aches and pains and basic things so that Cam and Kurt can really see the people who had real health needs. Lynette and Val and Kathy and I kind of tag teamed and took turns in the clinic laboratory. We kind of joke that we make kids cry. We try to start off with sweet, loving things, but ultimately we are going to stick their finger and take their blood, which is kind of pulls on your heartstrings a little bit. But one of the photos on the slide showed Kathy and I. Kathy would take and hold the hand and kind of guard so that the child couldn't see when I was going to stick them. So we're pretty good at that. I didn't really have anything planned to say today. I have all kinds of stuff to say, of course. I I was going to read a post that I put on our Facebook page. So we have a page on Facebook that is called To the Ends of the Earth, Ghana. Let's see if I can get it to come up. Oh, and by the way, Norm's name is Kwesi. The little story with that, we were at church the first Sunday, and we had not looked it up. And so we just kind of went with, "You were born on Sunday, dude." And we called him that. And it's true. He is Sunday born. So I think that Ghana, for me personally, is mostly about relationships. And this year we were able to get out of the pharmacy and spend more time with the people, with the children. And when I talk about relationships, I also talk about this group of people behind me. We are a team and we have purpose there, but they are also our family. And when I say our, Derek as well, because it's not just me, it's my family, is their family too. So I posted a long post on To the Ends of the Earth Ghana page, and you guys can go there and check it out. It's still up, and you can see all the things we posted the entire trip. When I talk about relationships, Kathy and I have stayed over the past 3 years. First off, it started, we were volunteering at the hospital as nurses. The past 2 years, it's just been about relationships and getting to hang out with our Ghanaian friends. So here's the post. Each day, our team gathers before breakfast for praise and prayer. Today, all of us shared our hearts. My mind continues to wander back to a bond formed between myself and 4 or 5 young girls. You see, it's hard to tell what the number is because one moment it could be 2, the next moment it's 20. And that's really no exaggeration. But I have a picture of myself with these 5 girls, so I'm going to go with 5 at this moment. So they range in age from probably about 9 to 12 years old. I met them in the street outside a church where we were doing our clinic. We played Frisbee, we blew bubbles, we chased bubbles. One little kid was trying to eat bubbles. No, that won't be good for your belly. And we chatted. And I think there was a slide on the show that kind of showed me intensely looking at these kids. I don't even remember what they were talking about, but it was very important. Very important at the time. So as our time at the clinic came to a close on Saturday, I invited the girls to seek me out at the evening crusade, if they were able to join us. You see, where we did medical clinic and where we did crusade was kind of a significant distance from each other. And I guess I really hadn't paid too close of attention to that the night before. When we arrived at the evening program, I don't believe that this was the same night, but it was kind of trying to storm. And the kids had our bus rocking. They had their hands all up on the windows, pounding on the windows. They wanted us to come out. Bruni, 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 Bruni. That's what they call us. So you kind of feel loved, to say the least. We got a little bit concerned when the bus was moving, and our Ghanaian friends kind of scolded the children to stop. We took our seats, and I was kind of just looking around in the crowd, lots of faces, and all of a sudden I heard the sweet voices of these girls shouting, "I'm a Ruth, I'm a Ruth, I'm a Ruth." Now, I always say Ruthie because my grandma and my aunt are Ruth. But when I'm in Ghana, I relate my name as to the Bible. And in the Bible, it's Ruth, not Ruthie. So they remember my name that way. They had made it to worship and fellowship. And this is where hopefully I can keep it together because I kind of cry when I think about it. They walked alone, quite that distance. They were dressed in their Sunday best, their best dresses, with smiling faces, eager to see all of us, not just me, and to worship. Right beside me, and guide me and translate for me. They told me when to sing. They told me when to stand up. They told me when to pray. They protected me. They made other children step away. Because you see, in Ghana, we're so different, not just our skin, but they play with our hair. It's different than theirs, our clothes, everything. I have a little mole on my hand. They always try to pick it off. I love these kids. I was able to get out and do Bible, teach the Bible stories and color and just have fun. But they were so eager just to be with us and guide us during this service. In a sense, they were missionaries to me. You see, every trip to Ghana, God blesses me so much more than I ever expect. So, thank you so much for your support and allowing us to be there for you. Norm, it's your turn.
Well, guys, here's the deal. I think I'm going to start my story with people have a lot of doubts about what Christ does. Last October, I wasn't even interested in going to Ghana. I wasn't interested in leaving the country. I wasn't interested in getting on no airplane and flying 16 hours away from home. But God had other plans. I won a $1,000 scholarship through our church for GIC week. That was kind of the beginning of the roller coaster. God chased me for about 4 weeks before I finally said, okay, I'll go to Ghana. My buddy Kevin here, 4 weeks prior to that, he wanted to know if I was going to Ghana and help him build churches. My answer to him was, absolutely not. Not unless God paints me a picture made of Crayola crayons and colors are in bright and pretty for me. Guess what? I went to Ghana. Guys, I can tell you this, never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine a difference in 6,000 miles can make. What we take for granted here, our electricity, our running water, our bathrooms in our homes, they don't have that there. Don't get me wrong, I was fortunate enough to stay in a mission house that had running water and toilet issues, and everything was good. But not everybody has that. Way out of my comfort zone, 6,000 miles from home. Not one to do a lot of praying in front of people. I don't even pray in front of my wife. It's all secret. But boy, did God really wake me up. I had the privilege of praying for people in the clinics, and I may tell you what a blessing. Every day I come home from that, my heart was full. Blessed beyond belief. I was with 11 other people. It's not just a team, it's a family. We prayed together, we ate together, we prayed more together, we went to church together. We supported each other. When one of us gave a talk, we all prayed with them. When I came home, I was literally lost. It's taken me a couple weeks to get my feet back on the ground. Although I don't remember everything I saw, but I can tell you this. I think everybody should have to go to Ghana and live for 1 week, because we as Americans would get our eyes open pretty quick. God has definitely blessed us. You just can't believe the blessings I have that God has given me. And I look forward to going next year and receiving more.
Good morning. I would like to talk to you today about water. Clean water. Water that means life or death in Ghana. The little ones get sick, the older ones get sick, and we just take that so much for granted. We just go into the kitchen or the bathroom or outside and turn the faucet and the pure, clean water pours out. In Ghana, it's a totally different story. The water they drink is filthy, diseased, probably has feces in it, and God knows what else. But I do know that clean water means life in Ghana. And our first day in the village, Renee and I played Frisbee all day long. I was so tired when I went home. And I met a little boy there. His name was Desmond. And I would say he was probably 8 or 9 years old. And he said, "Peggy Joe, take me to America." And with tears in my eyes, I told him, I said, "You know what? It's not that easy. I can't just pack you in my suitcase and put you on the plane and take you with me. You have to go through a lot of red tape through your government. But if I could have took him home, I would have brought him home and raised him as my own." He was such a sweet, kind, spirited, polite, had manners. When we would go into the school, if I was carrying a box, he would take it from my hands and carry it for me. He was just the sweetest little boy. And worship. The pavilions that we build, it brings the community together as a clan, as one, under one roof, praising and worshiping God. And so that in itself is, you cannot put a price on that. And I would encourage everyone, when it comes time to give money for the wells, don't hold back. Give generously and joyously, because it is definitely a blessing. And the love that I felt among my team is beyond words. I felt accepted. I felt like I was part of the group. I felt a lot of love. And the prayers that we prayed for one another got me through some times when I was doubting myself and what I was doing there and what was my purpose. But being with Renee in the schools showed me that I did have a purpose. The children in the schools were respectful, joyful, happy, intelligent. They had manners, except when it came to throwing the Frisbees. Everybody loses control when we throw the Frisbees. It's an out-and-out fight now. But I'm hoping and praying that God will provide a way for me to go to Ghana again next year. It was such a blessing to me in my life, and I wish that everyone out there could experience being a missionary, at least for 1 week. If you did, I don't think you would take for granted anything that we have here in America. They live in shanties with tin roofs. A lot of them have no front doors. I see it as poverty. I'm sure they don't see it as poverty because they don't know any different, but They just see it as their way of life. But I see it as poverty. But you know what? I seen kids eating ice cream. I seen them chewing gum. I seen them eating candy. I seen them on bicycles. I seen them holding hands and singing, and so there's nothing lacking in their spirit. And that's something that's lacking in America. And finally, I want to thank all of you for your prayers. I really felt your prayers when I was in Ghana. In my weakest moments, I felt your prayers. And for those that supported me financially, I can never repay you, except to thank you very much for allowing me to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Thank you.
One of the favorite parts of our trip is just to hear the witness from one another when we get back. We've been here all services, and we've got to hear one another share some of the things that are so meaningful to them. What does God have planned for you? Is it something over here at a local mission? Is it something that's as far away as Africa? But let the Lord bless you. Step out in faith. Do something that you're totally unprepared for. And as Ruthie said, let him equip you. When you get ready to be saintly enough to walk through these doors, to be a part of this church, I mean, whoa, doesn't that sound all wrong? Remember, Jesus came for the people who needed salvation. What can you do with missions or your next door neighbor so that they can know Jesus? Maybe it's just one, but it's written. Jesus would have died for just one. So who's your one?